Hello! Today I'm going to show you some quick tips on how to use GarageBand. Now, it's a very fun, complex program. I'm just going to really scratch the surface to get you started in GarageBand so you know what you're kind of doing. Alright, so I'm going to open up GarageBand, and when I do, I'm going to start a new project. So I'm going to select Empty Project and hit Choose. And when I do that, I'll have this option that comes up in this window. And what we are going to be dealing with is software instrument. These are for if you want to plug in a microphone for a podcast or singing, as well as instruments to record as well. But we're going to use primarily the computer as our main creative tool. I'm going to hit Create. And when I do that, I get this little musical typing keyboard that pops up. And this window here. Over here, it tells me what kind of musical sounds I can have while using musical typing. This is my timeline. Up here, I have my rewind, fast forward, stop, play, and record button. This means cycle. It means it will create a little loop for me to listen to over and over. And normally when it plays, it's by accident when I do that. This tells me how my time is being used. So right now it's set at a tempo of 120, which is the normal standard for a pop song. It says right now it's in a C major and I'm on my first measure. This stuff doesn't actually matter right now because we're going to be using loops anyways, but you can adjust those things as you so incline, and it will adjust as you start building with loops. This means it's going to count me in when I go to start playing. And this is my metronome that when it plays, it will give me a clicking noise to help me keep the beat. Now, I'm going to just show a little bit with the instrument right here. And I'm just typing with my keyboard right now. If I wanted to hit record, I'm going to press record here. You can hear the clicking sound that I told you. And you see this arrow with this red line. This is my playhead. This lets me know where I am on my timeline in my music. Right now, nothing is really happening because I'm not playing anything. But when I stop, and I can stop by using the space bar, I can click and drag this over. And this is when I click and drag, it's called scrubbing. And I'm going to hit record again, and this time, when I'm ready, I'm going to play a little piano. Alright, so you can hear that it makes a fun little noise. Right now, it was on a classic electric piano. I can change it to other types of pianos if I want. I will let you discover all that stuff, but I'll double click over here. And I can see what my notes sounded like. I can actually move them around if I wanted to. And I can also see the score that I played and adjust the notes that way. For this lesson though, I'm keeping it short and sweet, and I just want you to understand how you can do those kind of things. So I'm going to go actually over to this guy here, which is my loops, and I am going to play in this area. I'm going to go ahead and select on instrument, and I'm going to click strings. And today I'm going to play with the violin. And I'm going to go ahead and pick this loop here. And I like that loop. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag it into this gray area in its own space. Now honestly, I don't need this electric piano anymore. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to bring this up here and at the very beginning part of my timeline. This area right here, you'll notice at the edge, I have this circle with an arrow. And this lets me create a loop, meaning if I pull this out, it will loop that particular sound multiple times. You can hear that clicking noise I was telling you about. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And I like that, but I want to add some other loops in here. And I notice that these two loops are very similar. They have the same name. So I'm going to just click and drag them in. And I'm going to try to line them up at the beginning of each measure and bring that in. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this loop here. Each time I do that, even though they're part of the same family, I like to put them on their own track. Now I want to show you this little guy over here. This lets me zoom in and zoom out on my track. And then there's this little guy hiding over here. If I need to make my track longer, I can pull that little arrow there and it will make it go longer. Most of us don't read our music or don't listen to our music in measures, and you're probably trying to figure out, well, how long is my piece? If I click on this arrow over here, it will let me see how long my pieces are going to be in time that we understand. Now I'm going to X out of this part, and I'm going to go ahead and try to find a fun beat to go with this. So I X'd out here and I selected all drums, and I'm just going to look through and see what kind of beats I can find. I kind of like this one. I think I'll go with this one today. So I'm going to click, drag this in, and I have this beat here that I can put in. Now there's a lot of ways you can adjust and manipulate this, but like I said, this is just to get you started in GarageBand. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out a little bit here, and let's see how this sounds. Alright, I like the sound of it, but I need to level out some of the things that is going on in this piece. Now one of the things is I want my drums to come in, be a little bit quieter, so I'm going to bring that down, but I might want to have some of my instruments kind of move in and out. So I want to go to mix and go show automation, and what I mean by that is that, like this first part that I have, I might want to have this violin fade down or fade out a little bit. So I'm going to add these little dots here, and this will let me bring the volume down gradually so that as other parts are coming in, then that one will fade down. And you can do this for all your tracks. So you can see how you can adjust these things. Now, for this lesson, this is just a quick introduction for you. I want you to feel like you can go through and explore all the loops and see all the fun ways you can make things happen. Once you get something the way that you like, you should save your project. You go to File, Save, and I'm going to call this project Sample. And I can hit Save. As I'm working on this, it's everything I dreamed it to be, but I want to share it with my friends or listen to it in the car. What I need to do is go to Share and go to Export Song to Disk. Once I do that, I'm going to give it a better name than Sample. I'm going to call it Yay. And I can then decide what kind of format I want it to be in. I'm going to keep it as an MP3. And when I'm making a song like this, I tend to like putting it onto my desktop. But once I do that, I like to move it off my desktop to whatever device it is. But it makes it easier for me to find it. So I'm going to export this song. And then I have a self-contained audio piece right here. So I hope this really short lesson helps you get started in GarageBand and that you have a lot of fun with it. Know that every time Apple updates its system, GarageBand has a different variation look to it, but these are the main elements that will help you get started. Have fun, and I hope you make some really great music.